Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton and Russ from Due Dissidence here for Jimmy while he is on the road this week. All right, folks. So I want to reintroduce some of you to a new congressman, one of the newest members of Congress, actually, Randy Fine. Randy Fine. Here's America First patriot Randy Fine demanding Americans who distribute flyers critical of Israel get 5 years in jail for hateful littering. That's right. Let's take a listen.
People accountable without, violating their free speech.
Sure. And again, I would remind you that there's no First Amendment right to conduct. There's a First Amendment right to speech, and the things that we're targeting in the bill are not speech. Again, if someone wants to stand across the street from my house and wave the sign on the sidewalk, they have every right to do that, and this bill won't have anything to do with that. But when it veers into conduct, and so the way we're going to approach this is through a hate crime kicker. So if you graffiti a building, it is a crime now. But if your motivation is hate, it will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in prison. If you want to litter...
Very woke, sounds like. And he says, if you want to litter...
It will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in prison. If you want to
For
litter,
littering?
it's a crime right now. But if you litter and your motivation is a hate crime, it will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in jail.
Okay, first of all, litter is almost never a crime. It's almost always a civil offense.
That's not true. You've seen Birth of a Nation. It opens with the Klan littering.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Littering is almost always a civil offense, punishable by a fine, unless you're dumping like toxic waste or like massive amounts of shit. Now, in fairness, this guy does look like he generates a lot of garbage. So maybe for him, littering would be a crime.
Garbage and anti-Semitism.
Yeah, of the sheer quantity.
There's like an airborne virus of anti-Semitism in the form of a man.
Yes.
It's a crime right now to hang banners from an interstate. For obvious reasons, we don't want to distract drivers. But if you do that and you have a hate crime, a hate motivation, it will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in jail.
How optimistic are you of moving this bill along?
I guarantee the bill will pass. And I never do that.
I never do that. So Dan Cohen points out Randy Fine went to Israel immediately after October 7th and signed a bomb to avenge the burned and beheaded children of Israel. No Israeli children were burned or beheaded, but those bombs were used to exterminate Palestinian children. Randy Fine is a genocidal Zionist. Yeah, of course. Khaleesi, and he was not in Congress at that time. He was a Florida politician, but he was actually elected. I believe he filled Mike Waltz's seat. Remember, fat Randy Fine supports bombing Palestinians and American citizens who support Palestine and oppose Israel, which he's referring to here is the murder of American activist Eisenhower Ezgi, U.S. Senator Fine celebrated, he was a state senator, not a U.S. senator at the time, celebrated Eisenhower's death, calling her a Muslim terrorist and accused her of throwing rocks, which is a complete lie. Throw rocks, get shot. One less Muslim terrorist. Fire away, he says. Fire away at an unarmed young woman killed, wow. Shot by an Israeli sniper. Christopher Johnson, what about the Palestinian rights to defend themselves against the Israelis bullying them and forcing them out of their homes? I didn't agree with what's going on, but they need to respect each other's rights to live. State Representative Randy Fine says blow them up. So see, guys, there's a long, long history of just genocidal language advocating he advocates violence against civilians, including Americans, pretty routinely. And here he is on video. American-Israeli Randy Fine is calling to nuke Gaza on Fox.
the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong with this culture, and it needs to be defeated.
We heard in Brooks.
So that is a statement of intent to punish civilians, an entire culture, which he deems irredeemable, and therefore collective punishment either necessary or at the very least excusable.
All right, I'm sorry. People like Randy Fine, they like to hide behind the ugly history of calling Japanese people or Italian people or German people in World War II who had emigrated to the United States in good faith and left their native countries behind and dedicated themselves to the American project as having dual loyalty. And of course, we had the internment camps in World War II, most famously in California with the Japanese. They use our shame at that to deflect from accusations of dual loyalty because of the ugly history that accusation has. What else do you call somebody who literally has dual citizenship with Israel, who almost exclusively advocates for the interests of Israel, regardless of whether those interests conflict with the traditions of freedom of expression, debate, and protest of the nation that you're supposed to be representing? How is that not dual loyalty? What else is it? What else would you call that?
Right. Why else would you be gloating about the killing of an American activist?
Of an American, right. Yeah. Which country are you loyal to? Obviously not this one.
Of course. Palestinian equals Hamas bombs away, kill them all, he says, no mercy. He says there is no suffering adequate for these animals. May the streets of Gaza overflow with blood. Obviously, just blatantly, openly genocidal language from Randy Fine. And so, friend of the show here, Max Blumenthal, caught up with him and asked him about this. I asked Representative Randy Fine about his repulsive genocidal rhetoric and how long he'd last as an obvious glutton under the starvation conditions he supports in Gaza. Known for his aggressive tweets, Representative Fine waddled away from me in real life and hid behind his staffers. Yeah, not such a tough guy here.
Fine, Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. You've been Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. You've been a big supporter of killing civilians in Gaza. I was wondering, how long do you think you would last under the starvation conditions that Israel's imposed in Gaza? Like, have you ever put yourself in the shoes of the people of Gaza who are starving?
I don't believe in those who believe that they should keep hostages. If Gaza wants the war to end, they should let the hostages go. You take hostages, you get what's coming.
Do you think you're encouraging anti-Semitism by these kinds of comments, supporting the killing of children, supporting nuking Gaza?
Over here in this corner. Sir, he has another interview right now.
Why? I mean, why can't he do an adversarial interview?
He can do an
I thought you were the Hebrew hammer.
I don't talk to idiots.
You seem more like the Hebrew scammer.
Why
can't he do an adversarial interview?
He can do an
I thought you were the Hebrew hammer. You seem more like the Hebrew scammer.
There you have it. So this is a press event. You know, is what they do at these press junkets. Each outlet has their own kind of like booth set up, and you go from one to the other, and you do, you know, however many. If you're like promoting a movie, you do 30 of these in a day for 5 minutes each. And, you know, Max is a credentialed journalist. It's I assume that's how he got in the room to begin with. But he couldn't get an interview. Couldn't get an interview with the Hebrew hammer, as he's called. Big, tough guy, ran away. So good job by Max there. You could see a whole lot of bark there from Randy Fine. Talks very tough when he's tweeting about how many Palestinian kids it's okay to blow up and how many American peace activists it's okay to shoot, but wasn't up for an interview with Max Blumenthal. But good on him for chasing him down. I messaged Max yesterday. I had a couple of one-liners. I said, "Hey, it would have been good if you said this." And he messaged me back. He says, "Yeah, there were a bunch of one-liners that I thought of when it was too late." It's like he said it was like George Costanza in the Jerk Store. You know, I thought of that. Like it just got away from me. But well done.
That's how it goes in those situations.
Yeah. That's how it goes in there. Yeah, no, it is. Like when you have to interview somebody, it's tough to just draw
especially
a blank.
hostile like that. Yeah,
especially hostile like that when you don't know exactly what's going to happen. But yep, nice work by Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone there. So special shout out as always.